Assalamualaikum, everyone. Today is October 10th, 2021. Welcome to Wall Street to Bay Street, Sunday Chai with Shari Portfolio Canada. My name is Nadeem Mia.
And my name is Shamil. Get your chai ready and let's talk about the markets. So, starting off, Nadeem, we've seen that oil has been really up this week and it's almost at a 7-year high now. So can you maybe expand a little more on that to start?
Yeah, sure. The WTI oil topped $80 today, actually on Friday. And, this was a 7-year high. The last time we saw oil at this level was in 2014. A lot of this is basically a function of demand and supply. Demand seems to have come back to pre-pandemic levels, and however, supply hasn't. And I think one of the big things that happened during the pandemic is that there hasn't been that much expenditure as far as capital expenditure in the energy sector in general. Also, I mean, there's some like OPEC, for example. They're increasing their production monthly, but they pretty much said status quo. In other words, the market was hoping that they would increase the supply, but they did not. They're just maintaining their current policy. So, there's a lot of things going on right now where we're entering, into seasonably a winter month. So a cold winter can also be something that can impact oil prices. But generally speaking, what's happening here is demand has come back to pre-pandemic levels. Supply is not currently keeping up. And, the capital expenditure in the energy sector is not what it is.
Well, Nadeem, one question I had for you was, what would be the main differences between natural gas and oil?
Sure. I mean, natural gas is different. First of all, it's used in different industries, such as heating homes. Factories, for example, use a lot of natural gas, and natural gas is more localized. In other words, oil is something that can be transported around the world. You put it in a shipping container, it can be pumped out of the Middle East and transported to Europe and Asia and North America even. Natural gas is one of those things where it's pretty localized. So the transportation of natural gas would kind of be referring to the continent or the land that it's on. So, for example, in North America, we get primarily our gas from North America, and likewise, in Europe, Asia, they're getting it there. Now there is LNG. However, that's still an industry that's still developing, and right now it's unable to keep up with demand. So yeah, and we've also seen natural gas prices spike up. For example, in North America, the Henry Hub is right now, it topped over $5.50 BTU, MMBTU, and that's more than doubled. And in Europe and in Asia, we've seen prices almost up fivefold. So definitely there is this crisis here where demand is there and supply is definitely not keeping up.
And I guess the last question I have is, how could this global energy crisis impact Canadians?
That's a good question. I think, generally speaking, of course, the future is renewable energy. However, renewable right now just cannot meet that demand just cannot meet the total energy demand. So you have this situation where there's growing pains. Now, specifically when it comes to Canada, Canada is a net exporter of oil and natural gas. So, yes, as a country, we do benefit from, especially from a currency standpoint. The loonie is sometimes termed as a petrocurrency. Meaning to say, when oil prices do well, our exports are better, and therefore, it helps our helps the loonie. Now, it does help those industries. However, it can also impact, the non-petro industries. It hurts us. For example, when you go to the gas pump and you start to see, gas prices are higher, it does affect Canadian consumers in the sense that now they're paying more for gas.
Perfect. And kind of following up on that, we saw, September was kind of a down month for the markets, but we saw a bit of a bounce back this week. So can you maybe walk us through what was going on there potentially?
Yeah, sure. September was obviously a really rough month. The S&P 500 was down over 4.5% or for the month, something of that sort. And a lot of the stocks got oversold. We saw prices come down for most of the stocks and sectors out there. So at some point, nothing goes up forever, nothing comes down forever, and so we got a little bit of a correction here. Now the week did have a couple of good newses. For example, the U.S. Senate, the Republicans and the Democrats kind of came to an agreement, and they did vote for an increase to the debt ceiling, and that's going to basically last, till December. So that's something that the market is kind of looking at and saying, okay, well, that's one problem kind of maybe off the books here. So we got that, and I think at some point, when you have this negative sentiment here and stocks get come down to this level, you have buyers coming into the market and kind of creating some buying going on.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's all the questions we had this week. And again, thank you so much for joining us and bringing your chai with you. We hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. And if you do have any other questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. And from Nadeem and I, we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Nadeem Mian, Portfolio Manager, registered as an advising representative, and Shamil Devji, Financial Advisor, registered as a dealing representative with Sharia Portfolio Canada Inc., a portfolio manager registered in the provinces of Ontario, British Columbia, and Alberta. Their opinions and statements expressed in this show are their personal opinions and do not necessarily reflect those of Sharia Portfolio. They are effective as of the date of this broadcast only and are subject to change. This discussion is for general information purposes only and is not investment advice.